Oregon moves to 7-0 on the season with a 62-38 win over Washington State at Autzen Stadium. We talked in the week leading up to the game against WSU about how there's been some sort of weirdness when the Ducks get together and play the Cougs every year. We remember 3 years ago in 2010, Kenyon Barner went out with an injury, pretty sloppy game. It took a punt return from Cliff Harris and a long touchdown reception from LaMichael James to put that one away. 2 years ago at Autzen, Darren Thomas was actually benched in favor of Brian Bennett. We remember that as the DeAnthony Thomas Super Juke game. And last year in Seattle, Ducks played the Cougars in Seattle. Marcus Mariota kind of had an uneven game, threw a couple of picks, was not at his best, probably his worst game to date as a college quarterback. In all three instances, the Ducks were able to win decisively, but still, that weirdness was there. And we saw that weirdness come up again on Saturday night. 3 fumbles in the second quarter, 2 by Mariota and 1 by Byron Marshall, contributed to 17 Washington State points. And despite controlling the game pretty handily in the first half, the Ducks found themselves headed to the locker room up only 34-24. Oregon came out in the second half and really stepped on the gas, toned down the mistakes, put up 28 unanswered points, and a Terrence Mitchell pick 6 early in the fourth quarter sewed it up, making the score 62-24. The Cougs fought till the end, scored a couple of late touchdowns to make the final score 62-38, and that was the source of some controversy. After the game, Oregon defensive coordinator Nick Aliotti sort of went off on Washington State head coach Mike Leach for leaving his starters in the game when Oregon was playing their third or fourth string guys on defense, using, among other terms, low class to describe Leach. Connor Halliday, the Washington State quarterback, set an NCAA record with 89 pass attempts in this game. They only ran the ball 12 times, and I think that's kind of what Aliotti was mad about, that they sort of should have just take their whooping like a man, I guess. Aliotti, very fiery guy, has high expectations for his defense. This was a guy who, after 4 games of the season, when asked to grade his defense, who at the time had only given up 16 points, hadn't given up any more than 16 points in any game this season, gave him a C+. Those very high expectations also come with it a lot of loyalty, and he wanted to show his players that he had their back and was defending their performance on the field. He just kind of did it in kind of a silly and pointless way. There's no reason to whine about an opposing coach when you just won the game by 24. Aliotti came out on Sunday through GoDucks.com apologizing for his comments, saying his emotions got the best of him, and that he shouldn't have said the things that he said. Some very salty language in there. And I totally understand where Aliotti's coming from. He wants to defend his players. He was frustrated with how the game ended, but still leave it to guys like me, guys, bloggers and fans, to complain about who's classless or not, and just take the win, put it in your book, and move on from there. The big news, other big news on Sunday, the inaugural BCS rankings were released, and Oregon currently sits out of the top 2 at number 3, behind number 1 Alabama and number 2 Florida State. A bit of panic going on amongst Duck fans about the fact that we're currently not in the BCS National Championship game if it were to be played tomorrow. But here's all you need to know, Duck fans. If Oregon wins the rest of their games, they win the rest of their regular season schedule, they win the Pac-12 Championship game, they're going to be in the BCS National Title game. They've still got games against UCLA, Stanford, Oregon State, who the computers like. I think Jeff Sagarin has them 6th or 8th or something ridiculous. They've got those 3 games. They've got the Pac-12 championship game against the Pac-12 South champ, which is going to be a good team. And they've also got games against Utah and Arizona. All those teams have winning records. Oregon's got a very, very tough schedule to go, but if they win all of those games, they're going to move up in the computers. They currently sit 4th in every but one. And they're going to pass Florida State and move into the top 2, even if the Seminoles keep winning. Also, there's lots of room for teams to lose. Florida State's still got Florida and Miami. Alabama's still got some tough games, including LSU. The Ducks could lose, for all we know. Baylor's got a tough November schedule. Ohio State probably won't lose because they don't have anybody left on their schedule. Not the point. All Duck fans need to know, if we keep winning, if we win all our games, we'll be in to the last BCS National Championship game before FBS moves to a 4-team playoff next year, which is very exciting stuff. Oregon's next opponent, UCLA, on Saturday. They're coming off a 24-10 loss against Stanford, looking to rebound. Game day will be in Eugene for this one. Very exciting. 5th year in a row, Oregon has gotten at least one game to be the game day game of the week, which is a very cool thing, getting some national exposure to Eugene and to the program. On Wednesday, ATQ2 will begin its preview of the UCLA Bruins and what they will bring into Autzen Stadium on Saturday. For AddictedToQuack.com, this is Takimoto. Go Ducks.